Hey guys, my name's Ravi Sharma and I'm the founder and buyer's agent here at Search Property. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode of Search Property TV. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you know when I'm dropping my next video. On this channel, we talk about Australian real estate, the economy, and of course, financial independence and passive income. So if these are topics of interest to you, then you definitely need to smash that subscribe button and keep watching. This video is super highly requested. I don't know how else to put it. It's been months in the making for how many people have requested this video and for me to actually go and make a video like this. And I realized that I should have made this a while ago. I have so many conversations with people about their first property and what that experience is like. And they quite often forget, and you might be one of those people, that I actually had to start at some point too. And going through that experience again, one was daunting, but it was also so nostalgic to go through and think about that first property. So every time I'm speaking to investors like yourself and people that are on board now as clients, and I'm going through and reliving that experience, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna bring this video out because I think it can help a lot of people realize I actually didn't know a lot when I started. Yes, I was researching about the Australian economy and what was happening with the GFC, but in essence, I didn't really know much. And so in this video, I want to go through exactly what my mindset was when I started investing, exactly what I knew at the time, and it wasn't much, and of course, all the numbers around actually purchasing the property and my deposit, and exactly what expenses were incurred in buying that first property. So if this is of interest to you, smash that like button and keep watching. So the first property I bought was in regional New South Wales in 2014. Before jumping into the experience, let's just run some numbers. So the purchase price was $190,000. At the time, it was rented for $235 per week. I had a 10% deposit ready to go, which was $23,500. The stamp duty, being in New South Wales, was $5,300. The conveyancing costs was $1,000, and the pest and building inspection was $1,000 as well. So the total upfront cost was approximately $31,000. So for me, let's just paint the picture here. The experience around actually investing came about because I actually had started my full-time job. I had been working all throughout uni, but it was my first time I was actually getting paid weekly, and I was a marketing grad at a really big company. So I thought, okay, this is amazing. I've never been paid weekly, and that too, this amount of money. Now, at the time, it felt like a huge amount, but now realizing with hindsight that it wasn't actually that much. But at the time, I was like, what? I'm like having so much money come into my bank account every single week. It just means that if I spend all of it, it's just gonna come back in 7 days. And that just started this really bad sort of cycle. And of course, everyone's got to go through it, I think, to realize exactly what it feels like in terms of the value of money and what you could potentially do. But you know, I was 21 at the time and I just wanted to spend. So every single day I was on ASOS and I was online shopping. And of course, at that time, I wasn't spending any time on YouTube. So I wasn't getting educated by anyone or for anything. I was simply going to work 9 to 5. I'd come back and, you know, spend time going out on the weekends. And if it was like, you know, go to the restaurant or have a meal out, I did not care. I was just simply making too much money at the time for my own good. Now, to give you some context, I was making about $55,000 to $60,000. So it wasn't huge. And now looking back at it, I just felt like I was such an idiot, but you had to go through it. So in terms of building context around that, I had never invested before. I knew about Australian real estate, and at the time, there was actually this concept running where buying 10 properties in 10 years, and then what you would do is you would hold them over the next 10 years, and then use the first 5 you purchased, you sell them, pay down the rest of the 5, and you'd have 5, and effectively you could retire at the age of like 40. Now, obviously with that system, that was all I had to work with. I didn't know numbers. I didn't know how to get a loan. I didn't know any of that. So when I'm talking to some of you guys and you're like, oh, I don't really know that much and I feel embarrassed to talk to you, honestly, I can relate because I knew so much less than what everyone else I've been talking to knows. And of course, you know, I'm hoping this YouTube channel definitely helps. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have podcasts. I didn't have magazines or articles that were coming out daily. And to be honest, I didn't really have an interest in it either. At 21, I was thinking, I want to go out and I want to meet people and I want to meet girls and this and that, right? So it was very different. Fast forward to now, obviously I know what I know. I thought I could share my learnings and of course the experience itself around getting started and what my biggest regret was when I started. So in terms of the experience at the time, I didn't know anything in terms of buying or selling property. I just knew that everyone invested into real estate and whoever did made a lot of money. So that was my basic understanding. And at the time, my dad had invested, in his own portfolio, but it wasn't something I would actively go talk to him about because I had no interest in it, right? So I would simply go and do what a 21-year-old would do. And then I thought, okay, I'm spending a lot of money. I'm not really seeing the benefits of working and then having no money left over. I had a lot of clothes and literally clothes still with the barcodes, still with the tags and in their plastic wrapping that you had from ASOS. There was actually not enough occasions for me to wear those clothes. So they just sat there and just kept piling and piling up. And honestly, I think one day dad came home and he literally was just like, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? What are you doing? And he goes, I come here and every single week I see a package, ASOS, or some other brand. What are you doing exactly with all these clothes? Like, are you starting a side hustle or are you starting a business? And I was like, no, but that's actually a really good idea. But no, I'm not doing that. And he goes, okay, look, how about we figure out how much you have, and if you're close to that $30,000 or $40,000 mark, then we need to get you into a property. And I said, look, I live in Sydney. Don't know the last time you checked, but I can't afford anything here. And he said, look, that's fine. You need to just get some sort of asset that performs well in a good location. And that doesn't mean it needs to be in Sydney. It can be anywhere else. And I want to go regionally. And I was like, regionally? What do you mean? Like, what's regional? Like, how far are we talking? I don't really want to travel for this. And he goes, no, I think in terms of cash flow, you could really hold strong with your positions because you've got such good cash flow. So why don't you look regionally? And there's some actual growth out there as well. And of course, by you getting something that's positive cash flow, you're going to reduce your risk. And he literally said exactly what I sort of say in my videos now. But at the time, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about because this sounds like it's too good to be true. A lot of the people I talk to now are literally saying the same thing I was saying back then. So that's why I know exactly what you're going through and exactly why I think this next sort of year or 2 years will be the best time to ever purchase. Because when I was purchasing, I actually purchased for a property when the interest rates were like 5.5%. Slash to today, we're at 2.5%. So it's a major difference, right? Now, back then, I was like, I don't know anything about this, you need to help me. So I started researching, I started looking at realestate.com and Domain, and I started spending so much time trying to engage information. At the time, there was something very big that was going around, and it were the property seminars. And they were usually run by some property spruiker who was like, no, come and I'm gonna educate you. But all they wanted to do was at the end of the seminar, they would literally go, by the way, you should buy these new homes and new home and land packages or off the plan units. And of course, it's not gonna cost you much. It's gonna be limited time only. You can get this much off. And it was just all a scam. But what I got from that was understanding that this is what I need to look out for. This is not what I want to do. Now I need to understand the fundamentals. So what I started doing was educating myself. Now on YouTube, I'm sure if you're here, it's very difficult to find anyone talking about Australian real estate. So for me back then, I was like, I need to listen to the Robert Kiyosaki's The US Real Estate Market and really try and learn and see how that works here. So I go in and I've saved this money. I go 3 hours, 4 hours away from Sydney, regional New South Wales, and I go through and went to a few open homes, and I went with my dad because I had no idea what to look for. I'm telling you, I was fresh. I just knew I had some money and I knew that I was gonna make money by investing into real estate. So I went along and we went and asked those questions, and I'm literally walking through this open home and I'm thinking, I wonder if the real estate agent knows that I have no idea what I'm looking at. So anyways, I'm walking through this place and he's like, oh yeah, this is the kitchen and look at the living room and there's so much natural light. In my head, I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. I have no idea what you're talking about. Now, of course, I know a lot more now than I did back then, and that's purely two things. One, experience, going through and investing in so many properties, looking at so many properties and talking to hundreds of agents. You know exactly what the lingo sounds like. When they say specific things, they're triggering certain points, and it's all psychological, right? So once you've spent enough time in this game, you really know what to look out for and what to avoid. So over the time of 6 years of investing, I've now got all this learning and now helping individuals like yourself to actually get educated. And of course, those people who are time poor or don't really have the confidence or don't know where to start are reaching out and becoming buyer's agents, clients for the agency that we run. So Search Property is really a buyer's agency to help people, especially when they're starting out to invest and they don't actually know where to start. So we're creating that strategy, that plan, the blueprint to exactly know where to go and start setting up that foundation. So something I definitely want you to take away from this video is that I didn't know what I knew now, and one of those things led to my biggest regret. Now I know because of my curious mind and passion, ever growing passion for real estate, I started looking at the market that I had invested in, and I just wanted to understand how it worked, and the numbers all made sense, but could I have gotten a better deal? Now looking back, I actually got into contact with a buyer's agent around that time, but I didn't really know what a buyer's agent was. At that time, I didn't really have YouTube to rely on, so I just knew this dude I have to pay like $10,000 or $15,000, and then he's gonna find me a property, but I just found a property. How hard could this be? And then when it goes down to like actually looking at the properties, I'm like, well, I just go on realestate.com and that's how I find them. Like, what do I need you for? And that's literally some of the times when I'm talking to people, it comes across like, so why exactly do I need you? And that's where the fundamental flaw is. With Australian real estate, because it is so easy to get into, it's actually quite hard to get right. And I keep saying this, it's not just about hopping online and going, oh, that looks like a good place, or I would live there, and that seems to be tenanted, let's buy that. And it's not just about that. It's about getting above average results. And if you want above average results, you need to have significantly more research than what you have. Now, in my case, I did quite well in that property, but in context, when I actually looked back at another area in regional New South Wales, I realized that over that time, I could have made an extra 2% capital growth every single year. So something I wanted to do was break down the numbers and see how big my regret really was. So if I had bought that property with a buyer's agent, it would have cost me $15,000 to actually purchase. Now that was an extra cost, but they would have got me a place that was actually growing extra 2% higher every single year, which was compounding. So that works out to be on this property about $4,000 a year. So in 4 years, it would have actually paid itself off. And not only to mention, it would have had more equity, which meant faster progress. And this is something that, only hindsight can really help you with, because nobody's really going to know if the market you invest in is the best market and if something else for that same amount of money is actually going to perform better. But in my case, I went through that process and I got lucky really to get into that property and it performed well. I actually detail exactly how that's performed over the 6 years in a portfolio video. So you should definitely check that out. There should be a card that pops up or a link in the description. And essentially, what I realized was that if I had just paid the amount of the $15,000 for the buyer's agent, I could have leveraged their time and expertise, which in turn meant I would have made more money from my real estate investment, but also too, I wouldn't have had to do anything. I could have learned and leveraged off what he was doing and really fast track what my portfolio looks like today. So when I look at what I'm doing now and when clients come on board, and they actually go and purchase a property, and I look at the property and 3 months later, we've created $30,000 or $40,000 of equity, they're coming around as clients and they're saying, wow, like I did not even know this suburb existed, let alone be able to go and make 100% of cash on cash return. But now I can actually use that to go and purchase another one, which wouldn't have been possible if they probably had purchased by themselves and, in an area they're familiar with meant they were probably already priced out. So that is my biggest regret. My biggest learning from it all is that if there is a chance for you to leverage expertise, definitely do it. I'm not just saying that because I'm a buyer's agent, but I pay a lot of money to an accountant. I also pay a lot of money to get the right people around me to get the results I need. Now, in my case, I have an ever-growing passion for real estate, so I spend hours doing this sort of stuff. But when it comes to other parts of my life, when it comes to business mentors, or when it comes to my car, or when it comes to like my health, I am paying the most premium because I don't know about those things. And what I don't know, I need to leverage the best in the business to really get those results. I'm not interested in trying to get mediocre or average results. If I am now actually wanting to make money or wanting to actually take this seriously, I need to align myself with people who have either done it themselves or have learned from those experiences. For me, I'm fortunate in the fact that I went through that period where I learned everything I could, but I'm not the average person in the sense that I love this stuff. I spend hours looking at realestate.com and researching articles, and I know 99% of people out there watching are not like that. And so I really urge you to really consider your situation, and when you put it into context, when you just look at some simple numbers, don't get too frightened by the upfront cost of leveraging someone's expertise, whether it's a buyer's agent, whether it's an accountant, whether it's a financial planner. Whatever it is, don't get so scared with the fact that there's a charge for it, because you get what you pay for. And if you're really aligning yourself with someone who's done what you want to have done, you're actually gonna fast track your whole progress. And so that $15,000 I would have spent back then may have allowed me to get into another property, into another suburb that actually performed better than that. And my portfolio could be completely different now. And the last thing I want to leave you with is do not get emotional about the purchase. It is so difficult, especially for your first time investing. I know for me, I was like, oh my God, like I own a house. Like, do I go on Instagram and now put like a board in front and like say sold and take a photo in front of it? No, I couldn't do that. One, because it was regional. So I would have had to travel out again for 3-4 hours to take this one photo, which I was definitely not interested in. But what's more important is that I got emotional about it to a certain extent. I understood that, hey, I'm actually purchasing this and it's my own money. I now have an asset and now I've got tenants living in a property I own. Like, that just blew my mind. Thankfully, at the time, I had the right people around me, like my brother and my dad, where they were very much level-headed about purchasing and investing. And they said, look, this is going to be the first of many purchases you'll make. Do not get emotional, because that will be the number one downfall for when you build a property portfolio. So I thank them for that. And of course, now when I'm talking to people and they say, well, I'm gonna buy a place and I'm gonna live in it and get the advantage of the grants, and then I'm gonna go and put it on as an investment. The issue with that is that you still gotta live in there for 6 months. And you're telling me you're gonna base that completely on numbers? No, you're not. You're gonna have some emotion attached to it because you have to live in there for 6 months. So you're not gonna just buy a place that just makes sense in terms of numbers. You're gonna buy a place that you actually like and you like living there, and that in turn will actually lead to subpar results. So many people, it blows my mind how many have actually been investing in the last 2 to 3 years and have just made really poor decisions. It blows my mind because there is so much information out there available now than there was like 6 years ago, but still people are thinking that's the best way to do it. So if you're interested in trying to learn a little bit more about Australian real estate, I definitely urge you to subscribe to the channel and join our private Facebook group. We're creating a community of people that are like-minded, that really want to talk about this stuff a lot more so we can help each other grow. I don't know if you're in a position to actually invest at the moment or you're looking at saving up, but that group is perfect for you. Passive income and Australian real estate tips. We are literally discussing how to get there quicker, not so much because we want to get rich quick, but create more financial choices for yourself. And of course, you're only going to know that if you are talking to people with the same sort of mindset so that you can actually upgrade your lifestyle too. Unfortunately for me, 6 years ago, I didn't have that. And so that's why I'm creating the community. That's why I'm on YouTube spending so many hours creating these free videos for you, is because I want you to take benefit of what I didn't have. And now knowing what you do, I really urge you to take action, execute, and don't just consume. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. This has been a nostalgic trip down memory lane for me. I still get shivers when I think about the fact that I was so scared to invest for the first time, and that too regionally. But I thank myself every day and the people around me, like my dad, my mom, my brother, to just support me in my decision. I obviously worked really hard throughout uni and of course after uni, working sometimes double, triple the shifts that I was supposed to. And of course with uni itself, I was doing full-time uni and doing full-time hours. I enjoyed life. You know, I spent so much money back then, but at the same time, I knew that I had to keep working hard because I valued the money, because not so much that the money would give me happiness, it was because money would allow me to buy real estate, and real estate would in turn give me time. And when I got that time, I would have financial choice, which would then lead to happiness. So for me, it was very important to start early and start strong. If you don't know how to start, drop me an email, ravi@searchpropertyau.com.au, and I definitely want to help you out. So drop me an email, and of course, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys.